Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome. My name is Evelyn. Today we're continuing with the fall decorating, adding in a few new pieces I purchased this year along with some fun DIYs for the season. In my last video I shared this pumpkin. It didn't quite fit in the spot I had originally envisioned, so I decided to give it a new home in my hallway nook. This little area is one of my favorite spaces to switch up, and it's amazing how just a few changes can make it feel completely refreshed. I have some hooks here with a blanket hanging and a small picture frame, but for fall I decided to bring in my vintage stool I found on Facebook Marketplace and a beautiful vintage pot I picked up in person at Olive Atelier. I imagined some beautiful stems spilling out of the pot, so I used my favorite grape ivy stems that I have brought out year after year. I only used two stems here, letting one drape slightly lower than the other to create some visual interest, and of course to finish it off I placed a fallen leaf on the stool for that subtle seasonal touch. On the floor, I added the white pumpkin along with a smaller one I painted last year. These little details make the space feel so cozy and inviting, and since it's one of the first areas you see when you walk in, it really sets the tone for the season. I had a frame that I picked up a while ago, and I thought it would be fun to give it a little seasonal refresh. Instead of buying something new, I decided to work with materials I already had on hand. I swapped the original mat for a brown one using some leftover brown linen fabric from the craft store to cover it. It was very simple. I just cut the fabric so it fit neatly over the mat, leaving just enough to fold over the edges. After giving the fabric a quick seam, I taped it tightly on the back to make sure the front stayed smooth and wrinkle free. As for the artwork, I used a digital download that I printed at home and taped it directly onto the fabric. This gave me the freedom to use any size print without being limited by the mat opening. Once everything was in place, I reassembled the frame, and the end result was such a pretty custom looking piece that feels perfect for fall. Talk for hours and never... Along with the frame, I styled some other new finds on my console table. One of my favorites is a bundle of preserved stems I picked up this season. Their warm tones are absolutely perfect for autumn. I also recently purchased a new book with photographs of Roman sculptures. The cover is the most beautiful brown shade, which works so well with my fall palette. I styled all of these items on my console table. I first placed the book and then a vintage vase on top, and I filled them with those fall preserved stems. I also wanted to add a seasonal element, so I brought out my paper mache apples that I picked up last year. I placed one directly on the table and the other one I leaned casually on the book just to give it that lived-in look. And of course, I couldn't resist scattering a few leaves around. On the other side of the console, I added a lamp for warmth. I also added a vintage bowl filled with cinnamon sticks. I just love how the cinnamon sticks tie in with those earthy tones of the stems, pulling the whole look together. Lastly, I added some coffee table books paired with an easel to hold my DIY frame. This space feels so warm and inviting with just the right mix of new finds, vintage pieces, and a simple DIY project. I feel like it just captures the beauty of fall in such an elegant yet cozy way. From the moment that we met, you were worth the wait. Oh, this could be the best thing that I'll ever know. Another new piece I've added this season is a beautiful terracotta vase from Wayfair. Wayfair always has such amazing pieces, and a huge thank you to them for sponsoring today's video. They're currently running a 48-hour sale where you can save up to 70% off with fast and easy delivery on orders over $35. I've collected so many Wayfair pieces throughout my home, so I wanted to share some of my favorites you can shop during their sale. One of my favorites is this olive tree. It has such a realistic look and it instantly adds life and greenery to any corner. I paired it with another standout piece from Wayfair, which is this large pot. This reminds me of the large vintage vessels that retail for over $1,000. It has a vintage look to it and it's perfect to pair with some greenery or even just styled on its own. My new accent chair is another Wayfair find I've been loving lately. The tones are warm enough to complement fall decor, yet neutral enough to keep out all year. It has that high-end look and it adds a beautiful texture to the space. Wayfair is also my go-to for lighting. This floor lamp is one of my favorites. It has a curved design that adds subtle movement and visual interest to the room. And last but not least, another lamp that I absolutely love is this one right here. The quality is amazing. I personally feel that it is worth every penny. It just instantly elevates any sideboard or console. I'll make sure to link all of my Wayfair favorites down below so you can shop them during their sale, and a huge thank you again to Wayfair for sponsoring today's video. Now moving on to another fun fall project. I have been wanting a fall tree for the season, but since it's such a large piece that only stays up for a couple of months, I decided to make my own. So for this project, I started with a branch that my husband cut from a tree in our front yard. I removed all of the extra leaves and smaller branches that I didn't want, just to leave a clean base to work with. Next, I moved on to the leaves. I had purchased some last year from the craft store, but they were a little too bright and orange for my taste, so I decided to repaint them using some more muted colors that I already had at home. I placed all of the paints on the plate. I soaked a craft sponge and just started dabbing the paint onto them, mixing colors, seeing what I liked. I left some of the original leaf colors showing so that natural undertone peeked through. You can use stems you have had for years and no longer love. Use paints that speak to you and have fun with this project. I first painted all of the front sides, and then once they were dry I went back and painted the backs. Honestly, I think it's easier to do the back side first. That way if any paint gets on that side when you're working on the front, it won't really matter because you don't see it. Once the leaves were fully painted, I placed the branch in my Wayfair pot and I used some bags to make sure it wouldn't move around. Then using some pliers, I removed some of the plastic at the end of the stems to expose the wire. On the branch itself, I used a tiny drill bit about 1/16 of an inch to make small holes for inserting the stems. You want to go very slowly and very careful here. Just play around with the placement first. I left some of the stems longer and some shorter until it looked right to me. Once I was happy with the way it looked, I used a hot glue gun to secure everything in place, and the last touch was adding some Spanish moss to cover the grocery bags that I put inside of the vase. You end up with a beautiful seasonal tree that brings those cozy fall vibes into any space. The best part is that it's super affordable, just a few dollars for paint, and you can use stems and leaves you already have at home. It's such a fun, creative project for the season. Another piece I picked up this year is this pumpkin pillow, and I thought it would be perfect on the accent chair. I draped a brown blanket over the chair and let it cascade down, then placed the pumpkin pillow on top, and it felt like the perfect spot for it. I love how it adds a bit of contrast with a little touch of fall. Some other pieces I grabbed this year include this acorn candle, as well as this beautiful glossy brown base that is perfect to pair with some fall stems, and I also picked up this terracotta leaf tray. This is such a great decor piece for the season. If you don't like decorating with pumpkins, adding elements like these can still make your home feel like fall. I styled them all on my coffee table. I started with a wicker tray to add some texture, and I placed a small book inside. I then layered the acorn candle on top, and I did remove the lid to place next to it. Next to that, I added the glossy brown base, and inside I added one single fall stem. The base and stem pair so beautifully together, and having one single stem adds so much movement to this space. Beside the tray, I added another book and placed the leaf tray on top. I also included an open book with fallen leaves for a subtle seasonal touch, along with other books next to it. Lastly, I placed this glass hurricane with a brown candle inside. In my loft area, I also have a side table and wanted to style it without overcrowding it since we already had a tree and an arrangement nearby. So instead, I decided to feature a new bowl I recently received from Cottage and Key Home. It's such a great alternative to a high-end designer piece. To style it, I layered a simple book underneath and placed the bowl on top. Then added a small stem draping out of the bowl for some movement. And above the table, the wall felt a little plain, so I added a picture frame. I simply printed an image on cardstock paper and placed it inside, which instantly brought some height and balance to this area by drawing your eye upward. I'm so happy with how this little corner turned out with the lamp and the stem and just the textures. It feels so cozy. The final piece I styled in my home for fall is a stunning custom art from Madeline Ave. You all know how much I adore their work. I also have one of their pieces in my dining room. For this space, I chose a 36x48 print from their autumn collection. It could not be more perfect for fall. The warm tones and the soft textures instantly tied the whole room together. I styled it above my sideboard, which was a Facebook Marketplace find, and I layered in another art piece that I picked up a while back. To complete the look, I added my Wayfair vase with another single fall stem I purchased this year as well. The way the stem complements the colors in the art makes the entire display feel cohesive and intentional. On the other side, I placed a lamp to balance the arrangement. It also pulls those moody, deeper tones from the art piece. The finishing touch was a pair of candlestick holders with some taper candles. I can't even explain how happy I am with how this display came together. It feels minimal, warm, and cozy, truly a reflection of fall.
When you're older, I'm gonna miss the way you play with toys, your little voice, the way you smile, every single noise.
That's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed seeing how I styled my new fall pieces and found a little inspiration for your own home. Don't forget to check out Wayfair's 48-hour sale. I will have all of my favorites linked down below. Thank you so much for being here and for spending time with me. I appreciate every single one of you, and until next time, bye.
Make a family. You could even be a scientist. I never would have guessed it. There'll be days when you wanna give up on